following is a conversation with Joe Rogan, his second time on this podcast. He has inspired me for many years with his conversations to be a better and kinder person, and has now been doing so as a friend. There's no one I would rather talk to on this 300th episode of this podcast on the 4th of July, both the anniversary of this country's Declaration of Independence and the anniversary of my immigrating here to the United States. A silly kid who couldn't speak English and could never imagine that he would be so damn lucky as to live the life I've lived and to feel the love I've felt from the amazing people along the way.
The maximized life, and that the discipline that he displays in his life and through his practices and all the things that he does, it's so difficult to live the way he lives, that for someone like me who understands it and knows what he's doing and appreciates it and appreciates how insanely difficult it is to have a full-time job and run. Yeah, I think it is, because it's beautiful for me to see. When I see someone who's really truly disciplined, who like a David Goggins, someone who just like truly maximizes the grind, I feel like there's an art to that. And there's an art to kindness. Like there's people that are really kind and really sweet, and when I'm around them, it's beautiful. It's like was fascinating as a person that's involved in media, right? Because what we're doing right now is media, even though, it seems like podcasts seem like we're just having a conversation, right? And they are. In that sense, it's kind of the purest.
Ones that get to the core of things, like even just talking to about Russia and Ukraine, to Stephen Hawking or Oliver Stone, looking at different perspectives, you gain a relative, for me, feeling like a sizable number of people who really don't like you, and say things about you that are that may be cut deep for a.
But it's one aspect of you.
Right.
But when you're reading it, it's so it's boiled down to this one thing, as if that one thing defines you totally. Like if you've made. Yeah, and then the thing that I've been really fascinated by is these alternative forms of transportation that they're discussing, like the ability to harness wormholes and the ability to do things that a Type 3 civilization is capable of. I had Michio monstrously fast.
Well, not only is it possible, I think it's likely that kind of stuff would be kept a secret.
Yeah.
It's just everything you see about these, about the way, either if it's contractors like Lockheed Martin or if it's DoD, the actual Departments of Defense, they operate in complete secret.
How many people? There's not that fucking many. So those people, like at the levels of comedy where you've been doing stand up for 20 years, there's a certain amount of honesty and a certain amount of understanding of each other that we all have.
Oh, so that process of becoming a great comic is like humbling in the way like jiu-jitsu is humbling.
Very similar.
Like you've eaten so much shit that that somehow, even if you're insane, even if you're
not, then people shy away from you. And there are people like that too that are really successful, but that are what I call islands. I talked to other comics about that. Like, you don't want to be an island, because there's these people that aren't attached to the rest of the community, and they're doing well on their own. And usually they have like one opening act they bring with them on the road they've worked with forever, and they don't have comedy friends. And those people are miserable because they can't relate.
Sometimes fame in itself is isolating.
Most important shows in comedy. It's the most important show in comedy, because first of all, it establishes stand-up in a sense that, like, for the open micers for the people that are starting it out, it establishes that the most important thing is to be funny. Like, this is what the art form is all about. And there's a lot of insecurity attached to that, a lot of fears. And so to alleviate some of those insecurities and fears, people will decide that the message is more important. And they'll pretend that, like, you have to have like, you have to be socially aware, that you have to promote things that are positive in your comedy, which is bullshit. They don't happen. The thing about Kill Tony is, in that, because you only have 1 minute, and because it's live, and because you don't want Tony shitting on you, or everybody else shitting on, everybody's just gearing up to try to be as funny as possible. And no one cares if you are gay or straight or Asian or black or trans or non-binary. Nobody gives a fuck. Securities, and find a thing that you genuinely enjoy, because getting good at things you genuinely enjoy is extremely beneficial for young people, because it lets you know that, like, everybody thinks they're a loser. Every young person thinks they're a loser. At least a young person in the situation I was at. Like, I didn't know I wasn't a loser until I started winning, until I started doing martial arts. Martial arts taught me that, one of which is you. It's so valuable to have quality people around you, because it makes you want to do better, because you admire the hard work that these people put in, like Mike Cam Haynes or Goggins or many of my friends, and people that are generous, and people that are curious, and people that are honest. Many comics will say this, and I think Dane Cook was the first person I heard say it publicly, that if he ever had to go back and do it again, like from scratch, doesn't think he could do it. Doesn't think he could endure the struggle of open mic to, ultimately to success. And the numbers of people that try it and fail versus try and succeed are off the charts. Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of, if you're alive, you can get better at stuff. And I don't think people are happy if they don't have puzzles and complex tasks and things that are interesting to them, whether it's an art project or whether it's learning something completely new like stand-up comedy. Like, doing things that are difficult is it's as much of a nourishment of the mind as food is a nourishment of the body. I think you need physically as it's also mental. The people that don't understand that have never really been challenged physically. People that think that physical challenges are just just physical. It's just brute grunt work. It's not. It's emotional. Advice about relationships is, be somebody, and then also, like, find someone who you can grow with, right? You don't want to be with someone who doesn't share your values. You don't want to be with someone who makes excuses. You don't want to be with someone who's lazy or who's spiteful. You want to be with someone who's, like, genuinely kind.
Your bomb is not good for legacy. I do believe he wants to be remembered as a great leader, as a lot of leaders do, as a lot of even dictators do. And I think he wants to figure out a way to pull out a win, so he can say that the whatever this thing was, whatever this invasion was good for Russia, was good for the nation.